Königssee in Bavaria by beautiful Königssee, the small town of Berchtesgaden, and just beside it, Schönau, where we find the oldest artificial ice track in the business. Hello everybody, welcome back to Königssee in Bavaria for the deciding run in the sixth race of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven, and alongside me, Elizabeth Meyer. And Elizabeth, entertaining first run. We got quite a close leaderboard.
Definitely. Only 900 separate the top three sleds. Jacqueline Lolling is sitting in third. Not the typical German run we would expect. A little bit squirrely on the bottom of the track. Not as clean through Kreisel as we would expect. Of course, she's showing her veteran knowledge here, but we can expect for a little bit cleaner run on the next run. Next is the fastest starter in the race, Elena Nikitina. She's been struggling with a bit of a sickness all week. Loads on her sled, only 100th away from the track record. Very nice and composed, but still, these aren't perfect runs that we're used to seeing from these girls. Ice has maybe changed a little bit.
Yeah, we should all be so sick. 100th off the track record.
And leading the race is Tina Hermann. She's won medals here of all colors. She grew up on this track. Again, it wasn't quite what we're used to seeing these German athletes. Bit of skids in Kreisel, coming down, still in first place, shaking her head with room for improvement.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to see that familiar fist pump. Tina Hermann is our race leader. Hasn't won here since the 2015-16 season. The last three races, including the 2017 Worlds won by Jacqueline Lolling. But Tina has always been snapping at her heels. Don't count out Janine Flock either in fourth place, only 1600s back. And Mimi Reneva, maybe she might be up in the medals here as well. If she did, that would be her first medal on this track, and the first for a Canadian woman since a long way back. I was looking for your name, Melissa Hollingsworth in 2009, 2010, and 11-12 season as well. Well, there is Elena Nikitina. And all of the Russian athletes have been struggling with sickness. The Germans seem to have avoided it so far. And Jacqueline Lolling, actually perhaps the least tidy looking run we've seen for her in the week of training. Of course, you know, that's just Murphy's Law, isn't it? One of those is going to come out at some time. You just hope it's not in a race.
Of course, it kind of looks like the ice is a little bit harder than what the athletes were expecting. No one appeared to have grip and full control over their sleds today. Yeah,
most unusual to see experienced German sliders like Lolling and Hermann skidding on a track that they know so well. There's the third of our German athletes. Well, actually, the third of our 5 German athletes, sort of strictly, because Anna Fehrenstetter also grew up in the German program, as did Kim Marmans of Belgium. But our second heat, top 20 from Heat 1 go in reverse order. Julia Kanakina will be first off, followed by Kimberly Boss and Leslie Stratton. And then we get towards the medal potential. The final 5, Mimi Reneva, Janine Flock, Jacka, Elena and Tina. And somewhere from those 5, you think the medals will come. Race 6 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup at Königssee in Bavaria. And after one day of training, only Julia Kanakina, 20th in the first heat, gets us underway. Martin Haven and Elizabeth Meyer watching the action.
Athletes got to finish 2 runs during training to be qualified for the race, and when you're sick, you're just trying to get those down the track.
Yeah, that was all it was about yesterday, trying not to cough up a lung while she was getting those qualifying runs in.
500s quicker than her first start. These Russians are so quick on the top of the track. A little bit more control than she had in that first run, dodging those walls as she goes down the straightaway.
You're not allowed to change the runners, are you? But you can change the setup on your sled to adapt to the track.
Yeah, you can change the bow of the runner, so perhaps a little bit more of the runner is touching the ice. A little bit squirrely as she exits Kreisel there.
Well, unusual to see Kanakina so far down the leaderboard.
But it's been a bit of an off and on season for her this year.
She was definitely not well last week either in Innsbruck. Oh, look, crawling across the line, 53.19. Well, it's quicker than the 53.28 in the first heat, but you saw all that speed ebbing away. Every time you go sideways, you're just dragging speed out of the sled. Just 100 kilometers an hour at the bottom. We'll see 116 from the fastest sleds.
Coming out of S4, her head is buried there, trying to keep aerodynamic position, hitting that left wall, as all the athletes need to do to get a nice entry into Jenner. Little bit squirrely as she gets in Kreisel, about a sled length higher and not parallel as she would like. Dropping out of Kreisel just a bit too soon, getting close to that right wall, and that extra pressure of the curve is pulling her to that slider's left.
Well, looks so straightforward in slow-mo. I've just watched her walking into the leader's box. She was coughing like a 20-a-day smoker. Kimberly Bos from Netherlands next up. Not only is she not entirely fit, but she too has this dreadful cough. Kristen Bromley with the sled. I think Kimberly, possibly like Kanakina, was not really entirely expecting to get through into the second heat. However, now's the chance to use her knowledge and drive herself a little bit up. Again, from that left-hand spur, getting pushed over into the right-hand wall.
Big pull again from that spur, but she's a 10th faster on the start. She's recovering from a quad torn injury as well as a knee injury from the first 2 World Cups in Lake Placid. Big skid similar to her first run down the bend away.
Taking all the hits down there into the Jena curve. 108 kilometers an hour. That's quicker than we saw from Kanakina.
Lots of height here in Kreisel. A couple big taps. She's caught Kanakina here in Kreisel.
Yeah, she was 2/10 up in the first heat. 111 to Kanakina's 110. 102 to Kanakina's 100.6, so good speed, although a little bobble in the seal curve. 2700s up, 53.12.
Just a fraction slower than her first run, but a little bit faster on the start, which shows she's maybe getting a little bit more fit with her quad injury.
Quite a lot warmer than it was earlier this morning, so...
Coming out of S4, just a little bit too much pressure, and that's why the sled is turning sideways. She's trying to correct it, tapping those toes behind her. In Kreisel, she has a lot of height in that first pressure. Maybe the entrance of the curve wasn't exactly what she wanted, and not steering quite enough in that second pressure to make the sled go parallel. Really big drop and skid coming off of the corner.
See the runner marks behind her. You saw the ice fly up in the air.
Just trying to fight those walls as she heads into Kalstein.
Only 3 or 4 sets of runner marks from the first couple of athletes in our 4 runners. They've spritzed the whole track between the runs to polish up the ice nicely. Third on the ice for Sweden, Leslie Stratton, 18th after the first heat. 27-year-old in her 5th World Cup start. Raced here in December 2018, the last time she was here in the Europa Cup. Of course there's ABBA, of course.
Leslie played on the national softball team for Sweden before deciding to slide for skeleton for them.
So softball, bobsleigh, skeleton, the natural progression there from less damaging to most potential damaging sports you can think of.
Yeah, makes sense.
1600s ahead of Kimberly Bos.
Really nice height in those S-curves.
Yeah. And actually, that's not a bad bend away either. Had that little skid that just meant she didn't have a big hit on the left.
Nope, those toe tapping behind her to prevent those skids from getting out of hand.
Kilometre an hour quicker than Kim.
Nice exit of Kreisel.
Nice looking run.
Really
she could be in the leader's box for a while.
Good speed here at the bottom of the track.
Yeah, very good speed. Faster than anybody by 3 kilometers an hour. This is really nice from Leslie Stratton. Whatever she did between the runs, it worked. A little smile from Kimberly Bos.
Half a second faster than her first run. Really tidy looking run.
Now, she raced here in 2018. There's a few athletes that raced in the World Cup then, but a few that haven't been here for sort of 4 or 5 years. Do you have any memory after that long away?
I kind of remember, but things have changed. Track workers have changed. The way the track is cut can be a little bit different. Really nice and parallel as she goes over that lotto sign. Nice toe drop there. Really well timed. And really well timed on the exit here, which sets her perfectly for the doodles. Right down the straight.
And that exit there, that gives you the real slingshot effect, doesn't it? You dive out, you don't skid, you hit everything, you just get so much speed. Yeah, baby. So Leslie Stratton leads from Kimberly Bos and Julia Kanakina. Next up is Australia's Jackie Narakoy. She was the first to find out that the left-hand groove is pitching you into a big slide.
Let's go, Jackie. Come on.
Let's see if she can get straight without hitting the wall out of this starting spurt.
Former teammate John Farrow cheering her on at the top. Really an improvement from that first run.
5:14 start.
Nice and parallel as she goes into S1.
And she'll have so much more speed at this stage than in the first heat. She didn't hit the wall.
Hit and it was a skid, so that's a much better exit.
Long skid down the bend away.
Similar to her first run.
But already half a second up on Leslie Stratton.
Really low in that first pressure of Kreisel.
And drops out nicely into the lower labyrinth, 6,200s up. What speed does she keep on board? 1:15.1, kilometre an hour quicker than Stratton. So this is good speed at the bottom. 1:05.5 should be the leader. Will she move up now? 52.01. Wow, that would have left her in 7th, 8th place in the first heat. That's a really nice run.
That hit on that first run coming out of the groove really probably put her offline and just trying to fight the rest of the run to get it back. She should be very pleased with that.
And without the speed that you're used to having on all these turns, they're all different, aren't they?
Yeah, here she comes into the bend away. We've seen a lot of athletes skidding. You can change your setup a little bit between runs to make it a little bit more controllable. Really nice exit here out of Kreisel. There's a little bit of pressure towards that left wall, which she just taps right before Kalstein, kind of pushes her over, and into Kalstein she goes.
More control, though, equals more friction and less speed, and that's the balance you're always striking. There's your leader. Australia takes over from Sweden in the leader's box. Challenge from Jackie Narracott now to Jane Channel. Second fastest starter with 4:94. Came down in 16th place, only 700s quicker than Jackie Narracott. There's a lot of athletes this season who could do with a nice, strong, positive result round her now, and I think Jane is definitely one.
Jane's an incredibly quick starter. She originally was recruited for bobsled and then had switched over to skeleton. Big pull out of that spur again.
4:96, another great start. Best race this season, 6th place in Winterberg.
Really nice height there in the S3. Fighting to stay off that right wall before that left tap.
Much less skiddy than the first run, though, still in the lead. 1:09.3, a whisker shy of Jackie Narracott, but still a quarter second up.
Drops out of Kreisel just a little bit too soon, taking that tap on the right side.
It's such a long corner, isn't it? 3 big pressures.
And it's a blind exit, so you do have to kind of guess where you're going. It's going to be close at the finish line here.
Not close enough, I don't think. Jane Channel just behind, just a whisker. So she's in 2nd place. Jackie Narracott is still our leader, 52.14. Still just under 4/10 quicker than she came down in the first heat. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm just having ooh, no. We're only 2,700s away from the track record in Heat 1. Let's see some improvements. Well,
big pull out of the groove,
yeah.
And she's just fighting with her toes so she doesn't tap on the other side. Really high there in the exit of Kreisel. Just comes out a bit too soon, tapping that right wall. And is able to correct it to send the rest of the doodles relatively straight as she heads into Kalstein. Nice, toes together, good form.
And you're talking about 100th of a second difference, or maybe 200s where you make that steer. You're either in the wall or straight down the middle. Jackie Narracott, Jane Channel, and Leslie Stratton, the top 3. 5 down, 15 to go here in Königssee. Olympic bronze medalist from Pyeongchang, Laura Dees of Great Britain, in 15th place after the first of our 2 heats here in Königssee. Martin Haven with me, Elizabeth Meyer watching the racing.
You can see her coach Merrick's cheering her on at the start line. He's a new coach for the Brits this year.
Tom Parsons, the other bronze medalist from Pyeongchang here this weekend, supporting teammate and his teammates and his wife Jackie Narracott. Right now, Laura with 3/10 in hand. That's predominantly from the start, but again...
Skidding through that bend away, really tapping the toes, trying to get control of the sled. Speed isn't quite there.
It's not. And lots more toe tapping going on in the Kreisel, down to a 10th.
A nice exit through the bend away there, but she's just losing speed a little bit.
1:14. Jackie Narracott had 1:15.1. This will be the decider. Needs to be high 1:05s. It's not. She's not going to be in front at the line. Jackie Narracott stays in the leader's box, and Laura Dees drops 2 spots. There's Queenie, the team mascot duck. I think she's dressed for Ladies' Day at Ascot. Not entirely sure. 52.31 slide. So that was better than her first, but not as much.
Loading onto the sled with her knees first to get all the propulsion towards the front of the sled. You can see her trying to get the sled back under control, dropping those toes, looking away from the walls, and trying to absorb that hit as much as possible. You need to be relaxed into a hit.
So more to think about for Laura Dees. In third place, Jackie Narracott remains our race leader with 14 to go. And next up for Great Britain, Maddie Smith, the third member of the World Cup squad this season. Kimberly Murray racing in the Intercontinental Cup in Lake Placid this weekend. Maddie started 5:06, so out-starting Laura as well as out-driving her, and long toe steer to avoid that skid.
The Brits are bringing these young athletes onto the World Cup, starting to having more World Cup experience. They've got a great development program. They know how to win Olympic medals and World Cup medals.
3,500's up.
You can see her leaning away with that right elbow, which brings her shoulder off the sled.
1.2 kilometers now down, coming into the Kreisel. It's a decent exit, but the gap now only 1,800. She's given away 2/10 of her early lead.
Speed isn't quite there to what we've seen with Jackie Narracott. These Black Rock sleds aren't holding on to speed like we're used to seeing.
They really are not. 1:04.2 ahead at the line or behind. It is behind. 52.36.
Drops 2 spots again. Jane Chanel moves up 1 spot.
Well, Queenie the duck not bringing quite the luck that the British Guilders hoped for. Maddie Smith stays ahead of Laura Dees, so she is the better of the 2 British sliders here today.
But this isn't what we're used to seeing from the British team. Coming out of S4, a little bit skiddy there. Gets it under control really nicely, but after this tap, you can see her right elbow just stick out just as she's trying to keep away from the wall from tapping again, and maybe a little bit of a push up from the fillet.
So Jackie Narracott of Great Britain remains our race leader, and next up is Kendall Wessenberg of the USA. 21st off the blocks at the start, drove herself up into 13th position, and the gaps are growing here. She's got 3,900s in hand over Jackie Narracott. But Narracott's second heat was a real top-draw effort. Kendall needs more of the same. Herb Smith yelling her off at the start. Let's see if she manages to avoid the draw into the wall, only just.
Just bananaing, as we say, leaning away from that wall.
Yeah, come this way, baby. Just nursing the sled around.
Just please, 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 please.
Yeah, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you later.
Bit of a skid coming off of S4, just fighting away from those walls. It's not completely straight and it's not completely flat in that bend away.
109.4, decent speed, but the gap is coming right down to Jackie Narracott, and a lot of work in the Kreisel. Gets a good exit, 1,200's up. That's about the second best Kreisel we've seen so far. Does she have enough speed to take to the line?
It's a little bit down.
Yeah, Liz shakes her head. Kilometre now down. 400, this could be tight. She's still behind on speed, and that will hurt her on the run to the line. 52.42.
Big smile from Jackie Narracott.
Jackie Narracott loving life in the leader's box. And Kendall Wessenberg in second by 200ths of a second.
She had a tap just before she entered Seal Curve, and that's definitely where those final 200ths went.
Yep. Big knowledgeable crowd here as ever.
Coming off of S4, skidding just a little bit. It's really hard to get the sled back under control once it starts skidding. You're toe tapping, leaning, and you can see the straightaway kind of pushes you away maybe or towards a wall. Lots of height there in the first pressure, and it's not a parallel sled angle. Dropping that toe to keep it from raising a little bit more, and a big toe on the exit of Kreisel, which is going to slow her down just a little bit. The velocity is going to be down because of that.
Long skid down into the doodles, though she avoids the big hits. That's why it was close at the line. Well, Kendall Wessenberg has had her shot. Savannah Graybill next up for the USA, and she has, a further 600. So she's got 4,500s in hand over Jackie Narracott. Will she be the one to take over the lead?
Controls that groove pull very well. She's got 4,100s in the bank.
Yeah, 5:18 start, little quicker than her first getaway. Smooth run down into the S-curves, the Schlangengruber, the snake pit.
Nice height there in S3. Really parallel runners coming off of S4. Nice and parallel as she goes over that lotto sign, really high on the second pressure, dropping those toes.
And that is the best speed we've seen so far, wrestling the sled down through the labyrinth, but she's got the speed on board. Narracott had 1:15.1, she's quicker, and she's got a half-second lead nearly. This is our new leader, Savannah Graybill, will leap up to the top of the pile, and she may stay in the leader's box a while. 51.8 would have left her third in the first heat.
Real big cheer there from Caleb, her coach. She should be stoked with that run. It was really nice.
Well, my last stat was that Jackie Narracott's best ever run here to a 12th place finish. She's second with 11 to go. She may yet match it.
After that tap, you can see that left toe just so she doesn't get pushed too far towards that right wall. Nice and parallel as she goes over that lotto sign. That's what you want to see from these athletes. Maybe a little bit high in that second pressure, so she has to steer a bit more in that third. So she gets that nice exit, just accelerating her through the doodles. You can see her kind of leaning away from that right-hand wall of the athlete and then leaning away from the left.
Well, Jackie Narracott came down 6,800s quicker. Kendall, Savannah, 4,400s quicker. Big smile on her face. 11th after the first of our two heats here in Königssee, Bavaria, Renata Kutsina of Russia. Martin Haven, Elizabeth Archer watching race 6 of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Our current leader, Savannah Graybill of the USA, with 300s in hand.
A little bit of a slip as she heads onto her sled. Really nice out of the grooves.
5:16, just a fraction quicker than Savannah's start.
Bit of a skid there, controls it nicely. She has spent a little bit of time here doing the ICC races at the start of the season.
Yeah, didn't go to North America, stayed in Europe, but all three Russian girls and all the Russian guys are coughing and spluttering.
A bit of a tap, extra taps there happening in the straightaway.
Oh, big waves. Huge skid.
A little bit of extra pressure. She comes out of Kreisel, pushing her towards that left wall.
2:10s back.
Speed is not there.
No, she might drop behind Jackie Narracott. Savannah Graybill will stay in the leader's box. She stays in second place by 600s ahead of Jackie Narracott. So Savannah Graybill, the leader, with 10 to go.
I think the Russians will just be happy to get this race over with, being so sick. You're just exhausted as soon as you hop on your sled.
Yeah, look at her. Just not look full of the joys of spring.
A little bit higher over that lotto sign, getting really big waves, big pickup out of the drive lines from the bobsled. She's trying to stop it with that left toe from dropping too low. And she just drops out of Kreisel too soon, which has extra pressure that puts her into that skid, into the doodles. She's fighting off the walls as she heads into Kalstein.
Fighting a cold, fighting the pressure. Renata Kutsina drops into second with 10 to go. Well, for Katina and for Savannah Graybill, this will be a career best here. Savannah Graybill leads with 10 to go. When we last raced on this track 2 seasons ago, last year it was snowed off and we had a wonderful sightseeing day there, high up on the top of the Yennebarn. Renata Katina finished 13th, she'll be no worse than 12th. Savannah Graybill was 16th in the last race here, and she leads with 10 to go. So again, a career best for her. And it does look a little bit, Elizabeth, like everybody has got their heads around this track. It was clearly very different today to how it was in training.
I think everyone maybe changed their setup a little bit between runs. You can adjust the bow or the rock of the sled, so you have a bit more grip on the ice. So after that first run, I think basically everyone would be adapting to that.
It was a little less misty and cloudy this morning. Because of the coldness and the depth of the lake just at the bottom of the track, it really generates its own microclimate, and it hasn't been until 1 o'clock that we've really had clear days in the last couple of days. It's been in the fog up until then, so maybe it's been a bit more sticky, a little bit more frosty than it is today.
And it's always quick and spritzed on race day. Spritz is when they put the water over the track. Makes it a little bit less grippy, less sticky than maybe they're used to in training, because it is not necessary to do for training. Yeah,
the parallel there is when it's icy out, you know exactly what happens to pavements and sidewalks when it starts to rain. That makes it greasy. Now, there is one of the glorious treats here from this track. That is crap fun. That's donuts to you and me. There's a little hut just under the start building that does those, and there you go, coffee, bratwurst, and that's one of in fact, that's right beside our announce booth. That's our nearest Glühwein stand. Just pan round to the right and you'll see us beside the finished buildings. So fantastic location, genuinely one of the most beautiful tracks that we come to, isn't it? We're in the sweet spot here, aren't we? Innsbruck doesn't exactly have dreadful views. This place, Samoritz next week, La Plagne in France, just gorgeous. Race 6, the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. Marina Gilardoni of Switzerland in the top 10 after the first heat, looking to try and move up. Martin Haven and Elizabeth Meyer watching the action.
Nice load onto her sled, fighting the groove just a little bit, but she's really coming into her own again this season, starting to flow with that Schneider sled that she switched onto last year.
3/10 up on current leader Savannah Graybill.
Really nice exit of S4, nice and parallel.
See the confidence, she's just driving it away from the wall there.
That shows her experience here. A little bit down on speed.
Yeah, kilometre an hour down, so maybe she's gone for a bit too much control. Gaps come right down, 1400s. This might not be enough. Savannah might move up.
She's got to be perfect here at the bottom of the track to hold on.
Savannah Graybill at the bottom, 107 kilometres an hour. Not enough. She's in the hole and she hasn't got enough speed uphill. She'll go down one spot by 700s. So Savannah Graybill no worse than 10th. Let me just have a little look. Is that her best World Cup result this season? It is, beating even 15th and 12th in Lake Placid. So not only Savannah's best result here, but her best race of the year so far. And this is a big field. No one's missing.
Nope.
So Marina, as ever, taking a moment to compose herself. Notes Canadian athlete so she doesn't drool all over the camera.
Yeah. Fighting that groove just a little bit. You can see that toe really, but it keeps the sled nice and parallel. Dropping that toe in the exit of Kreisel. Big dropout. Fighting to stay off that right wall.
So Marina Gilardoni, second place by 700ths of a second. We're in that 5 to 15 group where races are won or lost between athletes by fractions. Next up, Belgium's now, Kim Marmans, started her career here in Germany, I meant to say. Sliding in the World Cup for Belgium for the last half dozen seasons, though.
This is her home track. She's spent a lot of time here. She's really come a long way on her start in the last few years. She switched back to her Schneider sled after trying a Bromley last year, and she's really starting to groove again with this equipment.
2100s up.
Nice and composed through these S-curves.
I said in the first heat, Kim's never been out of the top 8 here.
Really nice line there through the bend away.
If she takes the lead now, she needs to pick off another one to keep that run going. Head buried in the Kreisel.
Nice exit.
300s though.
Doesn't have the speed that Savannah Graybill did at the bottom of the track.
Yes, she does now. 1:16.0, a fraction quicker than Graybill. And this is the uphill section, 1:06.0. This is going to be very close at the line to the 100th. Oh! 100th behind, 51.94. There's
smiles from Martin Rettel, her
Martin Rettel. Now, he says, hopefully this will be my last race coaching. I said, come on. He said, no, really. And Kim persuaded him to come back. She'll be a little disappointed with that. The home track knowledge not really playing out for her today.
But it is a close race between those athletes around her, so really anything can happen.
100th behind. Her and Savannah Graybill could easily move up.
As she heads into Jenner there, really nice entry and into the big Kreisel curve.
Yeah, look at the height of the Kreisel and the way it corkscrews down under itself.
Dropping out of Kreisel, her head is buried. She's not even looking up because she knows she can't see anything at that point. Nice through the doodles, just didn't have the speed that Savannah did.
Yeah. And she knows the track so well, she's not having to look where she's going there. Next up, another athlete who started their career sliding on this track. Both she and Kim Marmans went to school here in Berchtesgaden, and Anna actually started her career in the German crew in World Cup. There's your current leader, Savannah Graybill. 2 years ago, Anna Stetova changed to be a Czech Republic athlete. Junior World Championship here last year.
Just running a little bit left and right as she is running beside the sled there. She has the knowledge of this track. She is a veteran slider here.
She took bronze behind Jacqueline Lurling and Tina Hermann in the last all-German podium here 3 seasons ago.
A little bit of pressure there as she comes off of S4.
But she keeps it straight down the bend away, but the gap is down to a couple of hundreds, 1:10.7, fastest of all.
Really high through those pressures of Kreisel, but her knowledge just shows here that she can just chill and relax into it.
Well, she's not going to be in the medals, but she should be in the lead. 1:16.0, same as Kim Marmans. 1:06.7, not as quick as Savannah Graybill, but enough at the line. Yes, 800s in. A 51.92 slide. Savannah's 51.80. There's Kim's granny with the Czech flags. Anna's granny with the Czech flags, rather. Savannah Graybill still with the fastest speed at the bottom of the track. So whatever else is going on, she found pace. So Kim Malma, Anna Stetova of the Czech Republic is our race leader.
She's learning her new sled again this year, so she's just trying to groove with it, getting ready for the 2022 Olympics. A little bit of a skid there. She's really leaning away from that wall to prevent too much of a hit. Again, really nice exit out of Kreisel, showing her experience here, totally relaxed.
And won last year's Junior Worlds here on this track. It was February 2019. So, yep, that's the direction for the leaders box. 7th off the first heat, the top American sled. We've only just seen Savannah Graybill, her teammate, leave the leaders box. Now it's Megan Henry. 3rd place in Innsbruck last week. And this track, like Innsbruck and everywhere else in Europe, unknown to Megan Henry.
Yeah, a really good load onto her sled. She is such a fast starter. She is the smallest athlete in the field, so she's pushing a really heavy sled, so that start is extra impressive because of that.
4,400 up, and she had a good looking drive in the first heat. If she can tidy up a couple of corners, and she gets a good exit onto the bend away. Look at the control. She's able to just nudge it away from the wall a bit.
Even more relaxed than she looked in that first heat. Good speed as she enters into Kreisel.
1:10.6, big second pressure, dives out, just about avoids the wall. This is where the speed's going away though, legs flailing.
She's got 4,500s in the bank, see if she can hold on to it.
She'll be the leader, 2Ks down.
It's going away just a little bit from her.
Yeah, now she's still 2Ks down, but she has the lead at the line. So Anna Fernstetteva, yeah, whatever. But a big...
Big fist pump from Coach Caleb Smith.
Absolutely.
She's definitely got to be riding the high from last week, getting her first World Cup medal.
Yeah.
Just that confidence that pushes you into maybe a track that you don't know as well. You know you can compete on World Cup at the level that's necessary. Nice and parallel through that first pressure, but a little bit loopy in that second. See your left toe, right toe just trying to stop the extra pressure there. A little bit of a tap on that right side, throws her to the left side. Just toes dancing, trying to bring it back together.
So Megan Henry did actually race here in the Intercontinental Cup in 2016, but it's a while ago. And she is feeling no pain right now, is she? Okay, so into our top half dozen, 39 hundredths back from the leaders. Sophia Griebel, the third of our German sliders. Well, she's in the top 6. Is she going to be in the top 3? That seems like an awful lot to try and find on a track that her teammates know so well. And actually, for Sophia, with Megan Henry just 400 slower in the first heat, I think maybe that's where the pressure might come from.
The Germans aren't really known for their starts, but they have incredible abilities to find speed here.
5:15, so she gives away all her lead and more to Megan Henry before she even lies down. She's going to need to have a good run.
Slipping away just a little bit, but she'll find speed at the bottom of the track.
The problem is, when you're slow at the start, you've got to be perfect everywhere.
Having a quick start allows you to make a few more mistakes down the track.
Still in the red as she gets the Kreisel. 1:10.1. Anna Fernstetteva was quicker.
She's bleeding speed a little bit there and attacking the bend away.
She's got to find 3/10 in 4 corners. And 15, that's not enough. She's getting closer, but not close enough, surely. 1:06.1 is good, but it's not good enough. Megan Henry will that's why her Twitter handle is the Savage Meglet. Sophia Griebel slips one. In fact, she's only 100th ahead of Anna Fernstetteva. Fernstetteva could care less because she wanted a medal here, but...
Sophia missed last week of racing because she was recovering from that cold that all the Russians now have. Big skid out of S4 here, fighting against that left wall. You have to take that tap. Nice and parallel over that lotto sign. A little bit high in that second pressure, but she just drops the toe so quickly, and then her feet are back together in perfect position, in perfect form.
It's that knowledge, isn't it? Not doing too much.
Does get that tap on that left side. Slows her down just a little bit.
So there's Sophia Griebel. She is in second spot. Megan Henry, the leader, with 5 to go. Mimi Reniva will be worrying less about what's behind and more about what's coming up. 5 to go, race 6 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup here in Königssee, Bavaria. Martin Haven and Canada's Elizabeth Meyer beside me.
Mimi was one of the first few off today, and she was very skiddy down her whole run. And she said, oh, I hope I get a second run. And now she's sitting in 5th.
4:96 getaway. It's always hard to judge how badly it's going to go for others, isn't it, when you've had a bad run.
Big skid out of S4. She's holding on to the lead from her start, but she needs to push the speed to the bottom of the track.
In the green and with good speed at the Kreisel, equal fastest. Mimi shooting for the medals here. They are within a tantalising grasp. Needs 1:16, hasn't got it. The gap's coming down.
Little bit of a skid there off of Echo 1.
And across the line, 39 hundredths up. Well, she recovered her composure very well out of the doodles. Didn't have the speed of the fastest sleds, but she had enough to ease Megan Henry out of the leader's box. So Megan Henry will be no worse than 6th on her first World Cup on this track.
Big hug to Eric Bernotis. Coming out of S4, all these athletes are struggling just a little bit with that skid, just trying to get the runners back going straight, and relaxing into that hit for that wall. Nice and parallel over that lotto sign, dropping that right toe, controlling it maybe not quite enough, and that's why she's fighting off that right wall as she comes out of Kreisel. Nice and controlled through the doodles, feet together. Nice aerodynamic position.
So Mimi Reneva takes the lead for Canada. Lots of mutual respect going on in the leaders box. Next up, Janine Flock of Austria, 700s out of the medals. Bronze medalist here last time we raced a couple of years ago. She was silver medalist in 2013-14 as well. She does know how to find speed on this track.
Working with the Latvians this year, she spent a lot of time up in Sigulda working on her start.
Every 100th you get helps, doesn't it?
Definitely. This is their second home track for the Austrians. It's only a couple hours away from Innsbruck, where she's from.
2200s back. She's not finding much on Mimi Reneva.
Little skiddy through the bend away.
111.4 top speed.
These MCR sleds really know how to find speed at the bottom of the tracks.
Oh, not the tidiest, Labyrinth. A 10th in it. Here she comes, 114.8, not as much.
Big pull to that right side as she comes off of Echo 1.
106 Ks, I don't think she's got it. She's skidded uphill as well. 500s back. Mimi Reneva might just, but it's still a big ask. 2/10 away. She was only 400s behind Janine Flock in the first heat. Janine losing 900s to her there in the second. So unlikely to see Janine in the medals today.
Which would be the first time this season.
Yeah. She's not had a gold, but she's not been off the podium.
A bit of a skid there. She exited out of Kreisel. A little bit too much pressure, really having to steer with her toes to stay off those walls, leaning, taking the shoulders off the sled.
Now, in your mind, if everybody was skiddy in the first heat, do you go for more control, or do you assume everybody else does and therefore try and go a little looser and a little quicker and just live on your wits?
Depends on the athlete.
It's all a gamble, isn't it?
Yep.
It's always a gamble. You're trying to guess what the track's doing, what you can do,
Risk
and
reward.
what everybody else can do. Okay, so here we go. 3 to go. In the top 3, we have the winners of the last 5 races here. Jacqueline Lurling won the last 3, including the World Championships in 2017. All 3 ahead of Tina Hermann, who won the 2 before that. And the top 3 are covered by 900ths of a second. Our World Cup leader, 2 wins this season. Will this be her 5th medal in 6 starts? 5:16, a little slower than her first.
Much faster than she has been in previous seasons, though. She really has improved on the start. Since there's a new weight rule in skeleton, she has had to slim down a little bit of herself and her sled, and that has helped aid her in having a quicker start.
Yeah, still about the tallest slider in the field.
Easily, yes.
And that really helps. It changes the balance of the sled so much. 111.6, very good speed.
A little bit of oversteering again in Kreisel there. You can see the sled break out just a little bit.
All right, she's going to take a medal here. She's ahead of Mimi Reneva. 117.3, that's massive. Straight up the middle of the hill.
Highest speed by far that we've seen so far.
51.33.
A whisker away from the track record.
500ths of a second off the track record set by, oh yeah, Jacqueline Lurling in the World Championships in 2017. 500ths off the track record. I think the track record's going today. Unless the remaining 2 sliders throw it away.
If it doesn't go, she'll certainly be close.
51.33 for her. That's the fastest trip in the day so far.
As she drops her toe here, the sled just breaks out a little bit and it snaps to parallel. And it happens again in the 3rd pressure as well. If you're on a bit of a looser setup, when you drop that toe, it is like pulling that e-brake, and it's going to kind of whip you around.
Well, Jacqueline Lurling with a nice smooth run through the labyrinth. That's where she makes the money, isn't it? Jacka leads, and all those blue and white hats. Yeah, they're all family.
Yeah.
And friends and fan club, but an awful lot of family here. 2 to go. So can Elena Nikitina finish on the podium here? Last podium for a Russian athlete, 2014-15, Maria Orlova took the bronze medal.
She was only 100th away on the first run for that start record, and now 200ths away from this
4:85, so her start record lives for another season.
She wasn't sliding yesterday because she's been recovering from a cold that all the Russians have. Nice exit out of S4. A little bit of skidding happening under that sled, but she's a small athlete, so that is going to happen.
She does look an awful lot tidier than the first heat. Maybe the Chrysler will decide it. 1:10.7, a kilometre now down on Jacka.
Just misses that right wall as she comes into those doodles.
She's gone from 51 to 3300s, up 1:14, 3 kilometres an hour down. Lots of steering, lots of scratching. Speed's not there. Mimi Reniva could be in the medals here as well. Nikitina drops to second. Jacka is going to be at least in the silver medal position. She's had a couple of those as well. 2015-16, we raced here in December and February. She was silver to Tina Hermann, the last 2 wins that Tina took.
We're going to have a German winner after today.
Yep, it's going to be a tight one.
Nice and controlled in that first pressure, but sometimes you get a little bit lost in this Kreisel because the pressures are so high and it is so tight.
And because her head is so full
Yes.
of cold, that really doesn't help, does it?
No, not at all. Dropping out, really fighting off of that right wall, tapping those toes, just isn't able to keep the speed that the Germans have. And as she comes off of Echo, just a little bit too much pressure, taps her into that right wall as you're going uphill.
Our World Cup champion from last year, 2 wins so far this season, but they're the only podium finishes for her. This will be her first medal other than gold. What colour will it be? Jacqueline Lurling leads. Tina Hermann last to go. To win now for the first time since February 2016. Tina Hermann has been the bridesmaid in the last 3 races, including the 2017 Worlds. This is her home track. Can she make it gold?
A little bit faster on the start from her first run, 300s quicker. See her head bobbing left and right, picking her entry into that first S-curve.
Well, if she improves as much as her teammates, she will take a new track record here as well.
She's got to have massive speed like her teammate did to stay ahead of her.
2100s up. Needs 111.6, gets 111.6. Right on the numbers with Jacqueline Lurling. Holds her advantage. Oh, but that's trouble.
A little bit off on the steering there, maybe in the exit of Kreisel. She's got to have big speed here.
1:18.1, that's insane. Almost a kilometre an hour quicker. She's going to win this. Is it going to be a new track record? Fantastic run to victory for Tina Hermann with a new track record. 51.24. She beats the old mark by 0.04 of a second.
Coach Dirk has a big smile on his face. 2 weeks in a row, a German has set a track record. I don't know if she's excited.
I think she might be. I think she might be. Tina Hermann, win number 2 of the season. And that is a huge home win for Tina Hermann.
Much cleaner run than her first run.
Yeah. And again, although she swooped down off the Chrysler and rattled the labyrinth, she still found the speed.
Big fist bump from her.
Yeah, that's the trademark, isn't it? Oh, she's going for the Holkey high 5 line. Come on, keep going, keep going. Oh yeah, come on, they want it. So Tina Hermann claims victory. Jacqueline Lurling in the silver medal position as they finished twice in the 15-16 season. And Lismar, what a great run from Hermann. I mean, there was so much pressure as well.
Yeah, and she was able to control those areas that many athletes had other problems with. Showed her experience here, didn't skid in the Kreisels, had the perfect setup for the weather. A little bit of a tap on the exit, but really showed her knowledge and experience.
The last 2 races she won, Jacqueline Lurling was also in the silver medal position. In both of those, the bronze went to Marina Gilardoni of Switzerland. Tina Hermann, Jacqueline Lurling and Elena Nikitina, the first Russian female skeleton medal on this track since Maria Oliver in 2014-15. Mimi Reniva, Janine Flock and Megan Henry are the top 6. And Sofia Griebel ahead of former teammate Anna Fenn-Steteva, 7th and 8th place. Big run up the order from Jackie Narracott, from Kendall Westenberg and also from Savannah Graybill. All 3 are having great second heat runs. Well, we were sort of expecting a lot of drama after how tight training was. This is a great old-fashioned driver's track, and it always produces entertaining racing.
Definitely, and it's a little bit deceiving because it is a shorter track, so you wouldn't necessarily think that it's a driver's track, but as soon as you hit the Kreisel, it definitely is.
Well, before that, but as soon as you get into the S's, you know, okay, this is busy. This is not Innsbruck. Barely any longer than the track at Eagles, but with 17 corners stuck in. Although we don't actually use the first 4. Those are from the men's luge start, which is above us. So we actually, our first actual corner is corner 5 on this track. So it's still a busy, busy track. Yeah,
it's more of a luge track, and then they popped a bobsled start in the middle. They've also had the Kreisel burned down a couple years ago, a few years back. So that's also been rebuilt.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for reconstruction. So they rebuilt the Kreisel and Echo, and huge new start facility built a few years ago as well. New finish area. Yeah, it's got all the old school attitude with all the modern facilities that you expect and need. It's
and the most beautiful view.
Yeah, it's a great location. If you are going to come to a European bobsleigh track, we're only a couple of hours drive from Munich. We're close to the airport in Salzburg, both of which do lots of holiday flights. This is just a gorgeous location. Can't say so many times how lovely it is here. It really is. Summer and winter, it's a great place to come. And if you're a local like Tina Herman, then you won't get tired of this view, I don't think, any more than us visitors.
No, lives in Birches Garden, trains here, learned how to slide here.
And there, behind the top of the track, that's Grünstein, one of the only hills that doesn't have a name here, although actually on the luge track, corner 3 is called Grünstein, so it does. So they've been sliding down the side of this mountain on this artificial track for 51 years, and it's just as much fun as ever. Jacqueline Lurling leads our World Cup standings after 6 of 8 women's skeleton World Cups. The final result here in Königssee with teammate Tina Herman coming up fast on the rails with the second win of her season. Elena Nikitina took bronze, Lurling the silver medal. Janine Flock just out of the medals, but again in the top 5. And lots of other moves up and down the leaderboard, not just in our second heat, but also in our World Cup standings. So 2 more races to go. And we go next week to Samaritz, the only natural track still on tour, and then to Sigulda. Elizabeth Meyer, a great performance by Tina Herman, grew up on this track, knows how to slide it as well as anybody on the planet, and she used all of that knowledge. Definitely
had a perfect setup for the way the weather was, a little bit of changing between runs. Small taps, but she just relaxes into it, and that's really where she's able to gather that speed, gain it, little tap or skid there, and able to control it. Just so relaxed, and definitely stoked with setting a track record here.
Yeah, and that's fantastic for her. A few hundreds in, but there is your podium. Tina Herman, the winner. On the left, Jacqueline Lurling. On the right, Elena Nikitina. Looking a little bit better than she was early in the week, but I think all the Russian team will need maybe another week to be really back to their best. Looks like she's enjoyed her day, and the 2 German girls have as well. 4th for Mimi Reneva, I think that's her best result here. Janine Flock in 5th, Megan Henry in 6th position. Another big weekend for the US slider. And from the delights of Königssee in Bavaria, we head to the equally jaw-droppingly stunning Samaritz next week. Join us for all the action there. Don't forget men's skeleton this afternoon, 3:30 local, 14:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Kendall Wessenberg makes her World Cup commentary debut. We'll see you then. Until then, from Elizabeth Meyer, from me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew, auf Wiedersehen from Viesturs.